Evening, everybody. I hope you're enjoying your version 2 DJI goggles. It's me, Cerberus, with a KWADeRATIC for another fortnight here on the Intertube. Simply the best FPV magazine show in the world. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Winterblue?
I think I would agree, yes. I think we do have the best magazine show on the internet. And I'm just going to get this out of the way. Any opinions expressed by any participant on this show are personal and do not represent the views of any person, living, dead, fictitious or otherwise. Please don't sue us, ever.
Any resemblance to characters living or dead is purely coincidental. Yeah, we should probably formalise that at some point, shouldn't we? We should record it or something.
We should find out what we need to say.
Clive just sent a last-minute entry.
Oh yeah, let's say hello to the chat.
Good evening, chat.
Hello,
How
chat.
are you doing? Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Squeaky FPV, Behrman, Arcimaniac, Clive. Who else is there?
Failsafe.
Christophe Bellier. I hope I said that right.
Some guy called Cerberus, who I've never heard of.
I don't know what he's about.
And that weirdo RC Maniacs in the chat as well.
Clive has sent a last-minute entry. Well, if it didn't get here before 7, then it's too late.
Or is it?
Well, yeah, I think we've put it in. I think we've been nice to him and put it in. And also, we've allowed his entry.
Oh, I actually like his entry, you know.
Steady.
Oh, God. We're deteriorating already.
It's already happened. You need to save that for April.
Yes, April.
So how's your week been?
Really good, actually. Really good.
I having a target to aim for has been good.
Yeah, knowing that, as of what was it? Yesterday?
Someone came and took the kids away.
Yeah, they all went back to school.
Yeah.
No, it's as of yesterday. We are here in the UK. We are legally allowed to go and fly again, as long as it's not an organised flying field, and as long as you're only flying with your one best mate, you maintain social distancing.
You can meet one person, otherwise known as your legally required spotter, for recreational purposes. So that's flying or dogging. Which one is up to you?
April.
Oh yeah, sorry, we can't mention that. Remember, dogging on your own is just a wank in the car. So, I said the quiet bit out loud again, didn't I?
Cerberus. Can we just not? Can we just not go there?
It's going to be crazy. So welcome everybody. Failsafe's out there in the chat as well. We've got loads to talk about. I tell you what, I'm not going to be flying when I go out flying. Is that DJI FPV drone?
No, I'm not either.
I like it. I do like it. I have to admit, I do like it. But it
looks really cool.
It's not for me. It's not aimed at us, though, is it? Really?
No, I don't think so. I think it's I think the words gateway drug come to mind.
It's the gateway drug.
I think it's going to bring more of your photography people over to the fun that is FPV and racing and all of that.
Yes.
Although I really do want to see one racing around the Killer Quads race practice track.
Somebody buys me one, I'll fly it. I noticed that XJet actually posted somebody else's video. The name has just flown out of my head of someone actually flying one round a racetrack. The coffee machine drone. It's the coffee machine drone. It's the drone with 140 quid batteries for people that won't pay 140 quid for a whole drone.
I just want to give a special shout out to Failsafe because when he joined us as a member of Killer Quads and started flying, he was a miner here in the UK, and I don't mean the kind that goes underground.
I was going to say, the light on his head and all that stuff.
But it was his birthday this last week, and he is now over the legal age of consent to buy alcohol here. So happy birthday, Failsafe. Congratulations on successfully orbiting the sun 18 times.
I'm a miner.
Yes, Cerberus.
Yes, well done. Congratulations on surviving the COVID and making it to the age of 18. Well done. That's very superb. The next one is Finley. We're waiting for Finley, who's just joining us in chat. Thank goodness that you were late, Finley.
Yes. Don't go back and rewatch the beginning.
But I think Finley's like a good 4 years away from the legal drinking age.
Yeah, he's young. He's also if you've seen any of his sim racing, he is really
This is the thing that I was going to say, which means he's stupidly quick because all children are, and it's not fair.
He is insanely fast. He is going to be. He's one to watch.
Keep your eye on him. He is really quick. We need to get him dragged to a Killer Quads race practice session and see what his flying is like in the real world.
And speaking of race practice sessions, we are looking to bring those back very, very soon. Watch the Killer Quads Facebook page for more information as we figure it out. Make
sure you have joined the Killer Quads Facebook group, and there will be an event published up there, and it's coming pretty soon. And
we'll be using exciting lap timing technology.
We will. We'll be using fantastic lap timing technology that we will be talking about later. Yes, joining us on the show will be Michael Hazard of RotorHazard fame. So hang around. If you've got any questions, chat, about RotorHazard or racing with it or using it, drop them in the chat. And we will pass them on when we talk to Michael in a little bit. We've also got the fabulous RC Maniac. He'll be slipping in his tip a little bit later on the show. What? That wasn't rude.
Was it just for a second?
It wasn't rude. I didn't say anything. It wasn't me.
Oh,
my microphone levels are all over the place. Chat, if my microphone sounds really weird, let me know, because I'm very peaky tonight. I don't know why I'm peaky. I'm overexcited is probably what it is.
What I want to know is who designed the RotorHazard lap timing box?
I did.
Well, there you
go. Right, what else are we going to talk about? The other thing I want to talk about is the Insta 360 Go 2.
Yes,
There's
please.
There's a new one. There's an actual new one.
Yeah.
That's amazeballs. Check this bad boy out.
It's super teeny tiny.
Well, it's...
And has ND filters as well.
Super teeny tiny, but the lens looks so much bigger, and the case has got like clever controls and shit built into it, and you can clip it to your baseball cap and look like a right dork. Okay, look. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, me too. I can't quite justify it, but I would really like one. So it is my birthday at the weekend. If anyone wants to buy me an Insta 360 Go 2 for my birthday, it would be gratefully received.
Is it actually available? Can you buy it?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna click on buy it now and see what happens.
Your credit card will thank you for the rest of the month.
I've just seen the price.
Yeah, it's £300.
It's 300 quid. 300 quid for something you could lose up your bottom. It's tiny. I'm not paying 300 quid for that.
Well, I imagine most people are not going to try and stick it up their bottom, but it is waterproof.
Well, I was hoovering naked and I slipped, okay?
And I'd just like to remind everyone,
April is coming. April is coming. Yeah, 300 quid is too much for a camera that small. I mean, go and buy a GoPro for that price. Surely. That doesn't make any sense at all. I'm disappointed now. I was really excited. Now, you've witnessed my donut being de-jammed live on air.
Okay. So chat generally agrees with you that it is really expensive.
Squeaky says, can it be longer than 3 hours as I got to drive up? Yes, it can be.
Yes, especially midsummer.
The clocks will change in 20 days. So when the clocks change, it'll be light until like 9 o'clock at night. And we race until the sun goes down.
And then we throw all the kit in Cerberus's car and leave him to toddle off home on his own with a boot full of stuff.
I'm going to have to unload it all on my own at the other end.
Sorry, mate.
Woe is me. I need to build some gates, actually. That's a good point. I need to get all the race kit out and build some gates. Look, I've got my... Look. I need to test this as well.
That looks suspiciously like a 3D printed RotorHazard race timer.
But it's only for one channel. So
interesting.
Yes,
So that leads me to an interesting question, possibly a segue, if you will. So you've got a 1-channel RotorHazard timer.
Yes.
You have an 8-channel or 6-channel timer.
Yes.
I know there's some 4-channel ones kicking around in KWAD's towers. I think it might be worth us having a conversation with someone who knows more about it than us.
Absolutely.
Or certainly more than I know, which, to be fair, is not a lot.
You know when you have your props to hand and then you go to pick them up and they're gone, actually gone.
Yeah.
Not impressed. Not very happy about that at all. Yes, we do have somebody to hand that we could talk to about lap timing. Should we talk to him about lap timing?
That would probably be a good idea.
Joining us all the way from the US of A, it is Michael, known as Hazard to his friends, who is the man behind the team behind the RotorHazard lap timer. Evening, chap. How are you doing?
You're on mute, and my picture's disappeared.
What?
Yep.
It's broken. That's Winter Blue's fault. Why is your picture broken? Right, hold on. That is unacceptable.
Hi Michael, welcome to RotorHazard. As you can see, we live up on an end where anything can happen.
Sounds good to me.
I have to say, the little experience I have with the RotorHazard lap timing thing, it works really well. But I don't have a lot of experience with it. I've clicked buttons and stuff has happened.
Sometimes.
Start race, stop
That
race.
works for me because part of the whole thing is I want it to make it as easy to use as possible. So if you can just go in there, click buttons, and make things happen that you want to happen, then I've probably done an okay job.
It worked for me. So like a couple of the races tail end of last year, Cerberus wanted to do some racing rather than just pressing buttons. So he said, this button starts the race, this one finishes it. This one says get ready, and this is how it works. Kind of gave me a 2-minute tutorial. Oh look, there I am.
Your Endis stream totally froze. Just totally froze because it can. Right, here we go, folks. Let's just edit you live on screen. There we go.
I'll do. So yeah, I had a crash course in lap timing, and it worked great. I was able to run 4 or 5 heats, and nobody died, and I didn't break anything. So
yeah, this is one of the central things about RotorHazard is it's just really accessible. Which is a really good thing, you know. So Michael, we kind of wanted to have a chat with you to actually find out kind of how you got into FPV. Where did it all start for you with flying drones?
So I actually started organizing races before I was even flying. It's sort of an interesting story. Back in 2015, I saw the same video everyone else saw about the guys in France flying around in the forest.
The illuminated ones, yeah, that was me as well.
Total epicness.
And I said, I have to do that. You know, I've watched people fly their DJI drones around for a while before that, but it just didn't really interest me.
Yeah.
You know, just hovering somewhere and taking a picture isn't for me. But taking something and going somewhere and and having a real plan of where you're going to go and being able to fly near things, and that's what I wanted to do. So I looked for the people who were doing it, and in my area there weren't really a lot of people that were doing it yet, but there was a group that was trying to set up a maker fair. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but at least over here, there's a bunch of them. We have a mini one for the state of Vermont, and that year, they were interested in sponsoring a couple of people to get some of these things together and fly them at a race at the Maker Faire.
Awesome.
So I started organizing that before I ever had any equipment. And as part of that sponsorship, I got basically a full setup at that point to be able to fly in that Maker Faire. But it was kind of ridiculous that it was only about 3 months between when I got equipment that was just a pile of parts and when I was actually at a race trying to fly it. If I look back at the footage now, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But it happened, and that was amazing.
So what were the goggles in that first set?
They were Fat Shark Predator V2s.
Yeah. Old school.
Were those the ones with the eye cups
Yeah.
Yeah.
that everyone took a hole punch to the bottom of, so that they didn't fill up with sweat?
Yeah, you definitely needed to do that. They fogged up pretty bad.
Did anybody notice that on DRL, Jet was using Predators up until like a season ago, and everybody else was on like the HD3s. I presume they're on HD2s now, but he was still using Predators. I think he had a liking for them. We need to get him on the show and ask him. So you started off kind of an exhibition event then. So then you got the bug, and then somehow ended up building on the Delta 5 project to turn it into RotorHazard. So what made you get involved with that?
So I've been my professional background is front-end development, so websites and graphic design is a lot of what I do, and we wanted to do timing for our own local races, and when Vermont's a fairly small state, we're a fairly rural area, and we had a reasonably small group, but Lifetime's business model, they have it free for really small groups, and then from 10 and above you have to start paying for a subscription. And that's
a really painful position as well. 10 is, if it was 20, then so many of us could stay on the free one, but I like probably yourself and other people, you have to pay for it every month, because 10 just isn't enough, is it, for a reasonable sized group?
Well, it might be. We had between 8 and 12 people showing up for races at the time.
Yeah.
So are you going to stay on the free one and hope less than 10 people show up, or are you going to pay for it all the time and not use it if only 8 people show up? And we didn't. We were just in that weird spot. So I also started looking for just what were the timing solutions. In that Maker Faire, we got an IR system to do the timing, and to say that it worked would be a stretch. So I wanted to know what was better. I also started writing for Prop Wash by then, and so I was doing reviews on other systems. So I got a hold of a couple of different of the the commercial systems at that time, the Lap RF Puck and the TBS race tracker, and I said, what, I heard about the Delta 5 thing, I wanted to build one.
Yeah.
And I did it, and it just didn't quite perform the way I wanted it to. When it was indoors, but outdoors it did a pretty good job.
Yeah, Delta 5 was good. It was especially outdoors. Delta 5 did what it needed to do, didn't it? That's where I started with a D5.
But the interface was kind of crap if you used the standalone version of it.
Kind of was, yeah. It was.
So that's where I started, though. Is I knew that as a front end developer and a graphic designer, I could put a better interface on that. And that's what sort of got me in the door.
Yeah.
And as I'm using it and putting time into it, I'm thinking, oh, well, what are these things that I can mess around with? There's a ratio setting. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but let's see if I can play around with that to get things to work better. Every month we were doing an indoor race, and I just tried over and over, what else can I do to make it read better, to make it work better, and that's how it built on.
I mean, using a Delta 5, I remember the first year we did indoor woot racing with KWADs, trying to use a Delta 5 timer, no, just absolutely untenable. You couldn't do it, you couldn't use it. But RotorHazard works perfectly fine, especially in a shielded enclosure.
Absolutely, yeah. My the secret sauce to making my Delta 5 actually work. Paint can. Just an empty paint can.
The shielded enclosure that does the trick. So RotorHazard then has pretty much it's become the accepted replacement now, I feel. I mean, Delta 5 has ceased development.
I don't know if it stopped development, but at the very least they hung up the Facebook group.
Yeah.
So the Facebook group has been archived. The Scott, who was the driver of that project, just archived the group, which means there's no further posts. It wasn't passed on to somebody else. Yeah. And I think even though he may put more time into the project, with no support group behind it, it's going to be tough for it to keep going.
And we owe a lot to Scott, really. I mean, we have to big up Scott. He's the guy that started the ball rolling with the Delta 5.
Oh, absolutely. If he didn't put that out there, put the work in together to figure out what hardware was even able to put together and talk to each other, it wouldn't have been a place that I could have picked up and moved on from.
Absolutely.
And while at this point we've replaced almost all of the code in there, I can say honestly it would never have existed if it weren't for that Delta 5 project.
Absolutely. And RotorHazard will actually still run on Delta 5 hardware. So if you've got a Delta 5, as long as you've got the right Arduinos, I think, is that right?
Yes. So it needs the Arduinos with the 328, which is what Delta 5 spec'd. But the Delta 5 code actually works on like the slower versions, the other Arduinos that aren't quite, they're not really spec'd as Arduinos.
Yeah.
But Delta 5 works on that, and we don't.
So the timer that we're actually using at KWADs at the moment is a Delta 5 8 node on the two of the Delta 5 PCBs, which I think Powell's out there in chat actually, who was very much responsible for the redesign of the new PCB, and OTA updates and all sorts of stunning things. So anybody that's really not familiar with RotorHazard, you can't actually buy one of these off the shelf, can you?
No.
So it does require a bit of soldering, but it's not that hard. It's not huge. So, Winterblue, you trying to distract me?
Maybe. I'm doing what you told me to do.
She's a very naughty girl, tell her.
She can hear you.
So yeah, it does. Some user intervention is required, but the PCBs are out there. The bill of materials isn't terrible, is it? We're looking at a Raspberry Pi RX 5808 receivers. So do you see that hardware kind of staying fairly set, or is that going to move, do you think, to different Arduinos? Or
so I want to keep as much support as we can of the existing hardware, and since we have a timing system that works, it does its job, it's accurate on those Arduinos, then I don't see why we need to anytime soon drop support for those. But we are looking for ways that we can improve. Some of the other contributors, ET for example, has been working on a version of the timer that runs on an F1 processor, and that would be able to control all of the nodes at once with just one processor, which could reduce the cost of the timer by maybe $40. So that would be a pretty significant improvement. But I'm hoping that we'd see improvements like that where we get lesser cost, easier to build, and that kind of thing. And I don't necessarily want to push that where we have to lose support for some of these older systems.
There's a danger there of splitting the code base, isn't there? At what point do you retire the old hardware and say, look, we're not supporting that anymore? And is there any benefit to doing that?
Yeah, and at some point there might be, but I'd rather take the approach of let's do it when we have something that's amazing that we absolutely want to move on with, and not just because we don't feel like working on the older stuff anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. What? Okay, OBS Studio is just being a nightmare tonight for some reason. Hold on, let's put you back where you came from. Thanks, OBS. Stop doing that. I didn't touch anything. It just moved. Right. Okay. What was I going to ask you about next? So I guess we do kind of need to kind of touch on the live timer thing. I know. For me, I sort of slightly resisted RotorHazard to start with because it couldn't key into live time, and we in the UK are pretty much wedded to live time because that's what everybody seems to use to organize our races. So RotorHazard now, some of the features in RotorHazard to sort of self-heal, we're kind of losing those when we connect it to live time, aren't we? Yes. So when I first started, I dropped the live time support initially because I really wanted to focus on those smaller and maybe the medium-sized groups, because live time really supports the large groups very, very well. It has a lot of features, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of time behind the people that put into that. And I'm not out here to step on anybody's toes, but there just wasn't a system that worked for the small and the medium groups. You have to get into
$600 for a immersion timer, and then a subscription. And just for asking $5 for people that come to race is tough. It wasn't going to be possible.
I think there's the FPV racing crowd are pretty unique. They'll spend 300 quid on their new goggles and their quad, but when you ask them for a few bucks to fly at the course, they're like, oh, that's very expensive. They're a stingy bunch.
So we've maintained the focus on the small and the medium groups, but Mark Hale, which is one of our big contributors, put the work in to get it back connected to live time, and I'm glad to have that. But we're still not out there to compete with them.
Absolutely.
I don't think we'll ever be building it up, to a point where you're going to see it being run at the main 100, 200 pilot events.
Never say never.
I don't know. I think the front end of RotorHazard is now so well featured and so reliable that we can run practice nights on it with 3 or 4 heats of 6 pilots in a heat, and do you know what, works brilliantly. Perhaps there are things in lifetime that make us, in like the really big 50 pilot races, we'd probably rely on live time because of the heat organization, that sort of stuff. But RotorHazard, I think, is really getting there for that kind of thing. Which brings me to a question from chat, actually. Christophe Bellieu. I hope I said that right, Christophe. Hello, and thank you for all the development work. Will it be possible that you could add the FAI racing rules? That would be great. I suppose that's kind of a tricky thing, isn't it, with all these different countries with different races and the way they run things. That could be pretty much a headache for you if you try and add them all.
I guess the question is, what are though? I'm not familiar with FAI specifically. We have MultiGP as pretty much the main group that's over here. So the 3 consecutive laps, it's in there because that's part of what MultiGP really pushes as part of their groups. Yeah. But if I know more about what is needed to run an FAI race, I'd certainly say there's a possibility.
That's cool. So if we perhaps point Christophe to the GitHub and submit a request there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So have a look on GitHub for the RotorHazard project, and you could submit issues and requests for future features. Is that right? Yeah, future features. Eric Borra, the man who's responsible for my CCTV system. More info on the live healing, please. So I called it live healing. I don't think that's actually what you guys call it, is it?
So I think he's probably talking about the marshalling feature. And one thing that RotorHazard does, I'm sure you're familiar with it already, is it keeps track of the RSSI that it sees as quads go throughout the course, and it has a history of that stored in the timer afterwards. And so what it can do is you can punch in different calibration values and reconstruct what the laps would have been based on the data that it collected and those new values. So
the marshalling screen is really mind-blowing to me as a race director. You actually get a graph of the signal throughout the race. So you get, coming off the start line, peak through the first gate, more peaks as it goes around the track, peak for the next gate, and then sometimes you will see, there's a peak there because the guy circled back because he thought he missed the gate or something, and you can actually marshal those out really quickly and easy.
Yeah, I really like the way that's set up, as opposed to like some timers and even Lifetime, I think, have a minimum lap feature where they just they won't allow a lap that's after or less than a certain amount. And by going into the marshalling, you can take a look at what actually happened, and then you can say, hey, this came in twice right here. What did you circle around again? Because if somebody missed a start gate and circled around, it's actually the second time that's correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you want to drop.
And I've even had races or a heat where a pilot's VTX was so low that he didn't show up at all, not a single lap. And you go back into Marshall and you can see that your enter out and your exit out are set above where his signal is, and you can bring them down, and there you go, there's your 5 laps. Because not all VTXs are created equal, are they?
not even a little bit.
Even the same model. Okay, so
The funny thing about that feature is that I would actually love for it not to be there, because ideally you would just get all the laps and and knew what happened, and you wouldn't need it because the timing was perfect. But it isn't. There's so many different things that can happen. So I think putting that in really was sort of the big break as far as when the system got more popular. Because people had a lot more confidence in what was happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can to be able to go back to a race where you didn't record the guy at all and actually go, okay, there's your 5 laps. Really brilliant, really brilliant. So the last thing I wanted to touch on, and something.
Hang on, I want to interject because there has been a request a couple of times in the chat saying, "Where can we get this from?"
Well, I'll pass that to Michael.
Where can people get this hardware and software from that make this magic happen?
So what you want to do is go to the Facebook group is probably the best place to start if you don't know anything at all, or if you don't have anything at all. There are people in the group that sell parts kits if you want to get stuff that's already collected together. But if you're allergic to Facebook, that's totally fine. You can go to the GitHub and just search for RotorHazard. It'll come up as probably the first item there. And there's a list of parts inside the documentation, so you can go up, buy all the different parts, and all of the instructions to assemble it are on the GitHub as well. I want to call out Paul's OTA tool, which is excellent too as far as getting it together. The project itself is really the timing and the event management, but as part of the making it work, you have to know about getting things on Pi and a little bit with Linux and all of that. And his tool really just takes the sting out of all of that if you're not familiar with Linux previously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been an excellent.
So WinterBlue's posted a link in the chat. So if you want to hit that link, that's where it will take you to the RotorHazard GitHub, and you can get the documentation there is really excellent. And if you get stuck with the Raspberry Pi stuff, if you get stuck with any of that, find the RotorHazard group on Facebook, and everybody will pitch in and help you. I mean, there's quite a few people actually contributing to it now. Do you want to just do some shout outs to there's Powell and the rest of the guys?
He's been really great with that additional tool. Dean Foury's got some excellent resources and keeps an image file for your SD card. You can go and you can grab that and not have to load one yourself. There's a lot of contributors. ET's done an awful lot of work. Mark Hale's done an awful lot of work on it. We have probably 8 or 10 people that have done translations, which I think is, I'm just honored that people have gone in and taken this and made it available in other countries.
That must be kind of freaky when you load up your software and it's in completely the wrong language.
Yeah, I've taken databases to do tests on, and it comes up and everything's completely different. And I'm like, I can work through it because I know where things are supposed to be.
Superb, that's really good. Powell says, I realized 2 weeks ago, a year ago, we didn't have any PCB. Now we have like 3. Maybe even 5 dedicated for RotorHazard. Yeah, it's as a project, it's really booming.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've only touched the surface on people I should thank as far as the how the project has come together. There's the PCBs, which several different people have put together, but even just the organizers that are out there. There's Eric and Kelvin have been pushing it for DJI, and there's people that have made videos about how well it works and all of that. I mean, it's just so far beyond what I expected it to be.
Yeah, and
it does work.
Yeah,
with DJI.
You mentioned DJI. I think Joshua Bardwell did a bit of a video a few weeks back saying about running DJI with RotorHazard. So do you think that's the future? What do you think about RotorHazard and DJI?
I think it was a complete accident. Like I said, we started trying to build it so that it would work well with Tiny Whoops, and the Delta 5 worked great outside, but it did not function indoors. And we fly indoors in a place that's got metal roof and metal walls and all that. I kept working on it to get it to a point where it would effectively work for Tiny Whoops. And Obviously, the changes that ET made a big difference in in the enter and the exits, and of course the marshalling feature and all that was great. But the code hasn't changed since we made that work, and that happened before the release of DJI.
Yeah, but the ability to plug those DJI frequencies in and actually race time a DJI quad, brilliant.
Alongside
I'm really happy to see it. I think that the HD is definitely eventually going to be where everyone goes. I know a lot of people are still on analog. You can't fly anything but analog if you fly indoors. But eventually we'll get there. Things will progress. So I'm happy that we'll be able to continue with that without too much extra work right now anyway.
Superb. So I've asked pretty much everything that was on my list. So let's have a look at chat, because I've been sorry chat, I apologize chat, I haven't listened to you. Let's see if we've got a few questions in there that I've missed. Martin RC Flyer says, what's the latest on in-goggle display of timing? So you've been doing something with Clearview, is it, with that?
Yeah, so as far as RotorHazard is concerned, we've pushed that almost as far as we can without getting some more support from the other manufacturers, because you need to be able to get the timer to communicate with something else.
Yeah.
And we did work with Clearview on it. There's someone who built a module that you can plug into the side of a Clearview 2, and it's an ESP32 internally, and it talks over the network to RotorHazard. So it'll send the commands over and let that display, and you can actually you can see that I've posted some videos about how that works. I'm hoping that we'll be able to bring that to other systems as well.
So it'd be interesting to see if you could bring that into the TBS cloud, because TBS have got their whole cloud infrastructure thing, which has their Crossfire and goggle module called, I don't even know what it's called, the Dave, I don't know. So I'm a DJI pilot, so I don't, I'm a little out of touch when it comes to analog stuff.
The Fusion is probably the best positioned module for this, because it has communications in there. It's not just a receiver. It has the ability to talk over Wi-Fi, and we'd love to get it in there, but we need the support from TBS in order to get the two things talking to each other.
It's just finding that two-way communication, isn't it, of getting into that video signal, but actually getting your live lap times or even your race position in your goggles during a race. Is something that's actually not too far away if we can get those other people on board.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I've had communications out to all of these different groups with various degrees of success. I'm hoping that we will see TBS. Immersion said that they were one firmware change away from making it possible, but that was a couple of months ago that they said that. Of course, no response from DJI. So I think if people really want to see it, then they need to speak up about it and they need to go to those manufacturers, because it's a different thing coming from people that want to use the feature and want to buy into the system than it is from the developer saying, hey, I have this cool thing, can we do this?
So everybody get on the phone to Trappy and tell them get it sorted, and then as well get on the phone to DJI and tell them to get involved. It's about time DJI picked up the racing scene properly. Right, I think Failsafe FPV says open source is so cool. Yes, you're quite right. Open source is the future. Michael, it has been superb to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming on. Anything else you want to interject that we haven't covered?
I mean, I could talk about this thing for
when you're passionate about something.
I'm really happy about where the system is coming, and I'm really impressed by the uptake of how it's come together. But I think the best thing about it really is the community that's around it. If you go on that Facebook, you ask just about any question about timing, and you're going to get not just my own, but the opinions of a lot of people who are really well informed and really want to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Community is really, really strong. A really good community and a really good project. So for all you guys that haven't got a RotorHazard timer yet, it's time to get one. And Michael, it's time to say thank you very much for coming on. We are going to chat to you a little bit later on, but that's a secret. I'm not going to tell everybody that just yet.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, dude. We will see you in a little bit. Okay, chat. So that was Michael Hazard from the RotorHazard project, the man behind the team behind the lap timer. Cool dude.
It's a cool piece of tech as well. I mean, for me to be able to come in and you go, I need you to do some racy stuff, and I'm like for those of you who don't know, I am pretty much anti-race. I couldn't hit a gate if my quad was attached to a metal wire that ran through the gate, and I would still miss the gate. It's just it's the complete opposite of how I operate when I fly. So for me to be able to come in and go, well, if you click this button, this will happen, this button, that will happen, and that's all you need to know. And for me to just be able to, okay, yeah, I can do this, and it works, is just amazing.
And literally, I mean, one of the reasons why I built the single channel, so the personal lap timer, is you can run a race from your phone. It's really that simple, which is really amazing. And open source is the future. We love our DJI HD, but that is the antithesis of things like the RotorHazard project and what it can do for us.
But it does support DJI.
It does.
At least certainly the V1 stuff.
Oh crikey!
2.4 is yet to be.
It'll be interesting to see what the new FPV drone that switches between 5.8 and 2.4 at a whim, apparently, that's going to confuse race timers. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to move on.
Yeah, we're rapidly running out of time.
Running out of time. Do you know what? These shows are going to have to get longer. What do you think, folks?
Maybe
2-hour shows? 2-hour shows?
What?
Don't know. Maybe we'll see how we get on. But I think it's time that we spoke to RC Maniac. Good evening, dude. You've broken
RC Maniac.
You've broken the camera again. Why have you broken the camera again? What?
I didn't touch anything.
OBS sucks tonight. OBS sucks so bad. That source is locked, and yet it just doesn't want to play. Right, hold on. Where's WinterBlue's camera? Hold on, where's it gone? There he is.
I'm right here.
There he is. We can see you.
Hello. Hey, RC Maniac. Welcome back for another exciting tip. I'm not going to say it. I'm not. No. For everyone in the chat, April.
Inappropriate jokes are served.
Yes, absolutely. Well, normally I would ask you how your fortnight's been, but I'm going to have to eschew the niceties because we're running out of time. I hope you're okay with that.
No problem.
In that case, we will launch, ladies and gentlemen, immediately into Tip of the Week. That's what she said.
Thing's made of this. It's foam. There's one problem with this stuff, and it's quite brittle.
Oops.
That's not fun to happen when landing.
My Dart XL can certainly attest to that. It's made of hot glue now.
And funny you should mention hot glue, because the easy fix for this is what I know is called hot glue skinning.
Hot glue?
It may not be.
Hot glue what?
Hot glue skinning. It's probably not what it's actually called, but it's what I know it as.
Okay.
So that's what I'm calling it. And it is incredibly simple. You have your wing.
That's not a wing.
Pretend it is.
Okay, I'm pretending it's a wing.
So you have your wing. For this you're going to need a hot glue gun with hot glue and something else to use as a squeegee.
More foam.
It can be another bit of foam. It could be the backside of a Stanley knife. It could be literally anything.
Well, that's a cute knife. Sorry.
This one.
That's really groovy.
Cool, isn't
I want one of those. Sorry.
It's the Geico whatever one. Adam Savage has one.
Does he?
Yeah. It was a Kickstarter a while back. Anyway, back on track. So, something as a squeegee, your wing, hot glue. And it is as simple as you splurge a big dollop on.
That's what she said.
You get your squeegee.
That's a lot of hot glue.
And you squeegee it across and try not to burn yourself. And then let it cool.
Oh, so this is kind of similar to that solar film stuff that you put on wings.
Yeah. Only you don't need a special iron, and you've probably already got a hot glue gun.
Yeah.
So, and once that's cool, it's still tacky. Let it cool all the way. And while this is cooling, it's worth noting, test this on a bit of the model that isn't critical. Because depending on your hot glue gun and how long you've had it plugged in, and in some cases what you've got it set to, you could find your splurge of hot glue melts a nice big hole in your shiny wing.
You don't want that.
No one wants a hole in their wing. So yeah, that's cool now. And if I try and snap it now, it just folds.
Look at that. How good is that?
Compared to the uncovered bit.
That's really good.
Which I can't get. Untreated. Treated.
Oh, that's it. I'm going to have to go and smear hot melt glue all over my wang.
It obviously does add weight. Probably more weight than if you were to do it the proper way with covering film and an iron. But all you need is a hot glue gun and a squeegee.
I'm waiting for Winterblue to deploy his alternative.
I'm not deploying the big pink wang.
That is, it has to be said, ladies and gentlemen out in chat, I think
That's
you will agree with me, a superb tip of the week. RC Maniac, we will see you again in a fortnight, dear sir. Thank you again for your hard work.
Thanks for coming
Always
on.
well prepared as ever, and we will see you soon. Thank you very much, dude.
That's a good tip.
I like that. That was really clever. And I was worried about this whole ironing thing because, you know.
Do you know what? It's actually, like, because I've ironed 2 wings for my Drac, it's not as hard as it seems.
That's what she said.
But that's not a bad tip, using hot glue.
I like that.
The problem is, it seems like I almost have a question, which seems to work really well over like a small area. But how do you maintain the heat of the glue so you can smear it over a large area? Do you have to do lots of little sections, or
there we go.
Large areas are entirely possible.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, that's it's glued from there all the way up to there. You can do it in smaller sections, and it'll work just as well. Again, where I crack the wing into, that's a decent size.
As all good wings should be, it's 80% glue.
Yeah. You just have to. The bigger amount you put on, the longer it will hold its heat.
Yes.
So,
and the more chance of
if you've got a bigger area, that's where you test it on, like, say, the inside of your canopy, because if you put a divot in that, it don't matter.
Superb stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
RC Maniac. Chat, what do you think? What do you think to an extra secret bonus tip? Did I sell that well, or was that just creepy? I think I might have just been creepy.
I don't know, mate. Sometimes you tread that fine line.
I'm going to throw back over to Michael, to Hazard, over there in across the pond. And I believe you have a tip of the week for us.
Yes, I do. So most of you are probably taking your props off of your tiny whoops wrong.
Probably.
If you try and grab it from up here, there's really no good way to get in this where you're not putting pressure on the frame or on the prop itself or on the canopy or something like that. So what you want to do is you get one of these prop tools. This one's from Newbie Drone, because Newbie Drone is awesome. But you can get these. They pretty much ship them with all of the Chinese tiny whoops. So, and you come in underneath like that. And if you just put your finger on the motor here, put the prop tool underneath, you're only putting pressure on the motor and the underside of the prop itself. And it pops right off, and you haven't bent anything for the rest of the frame or the motor or anything like that. And you don't put any pressure on the blades of the prop itself.
I've been doing it wrong. I've been doing it wrong. I do it from the top and spoon it up, and it always causes chaos.
And because I'm here on KWADeRATIC, I need to add a second one, which is you all need to bring your wooden stick.
A wooden stick? Okay, you've got my attention now.
This is absolutely an essential piece of your kit. You can get these as skewers at the grocery, but you absolutely need one of these, because when you power one of these things on and you need to poke around in here, you don't want something conductive when you're doing it. And where do you think the bind button is on this flight controller? It's in the middle.
Yeah. Why do they do
right
that?
There.
So you mean we're not supposed to just use a screwdriver?
You stick a screwdriver in there. Who knows what you're going to connect up against. You keep one of these. It weighs almost nothing, and it pokes right where you want it to, and it fits in all the small spaces.
That's what she said.
And I knew that we weren't going to get out of this without some of that.
So I've got a question for you that segues us nicely to the next thing on our list. What is the one thing that you have in your flight bag that you take everywhere with you, but you have absolutely no use for and have never actually used or never use? Because we've all got that one thing in our flight bags that lives in there, and you every time you see it, you're like, I really should take that out, but 6 months later, it's still there.
I'm going to throw that question to Cerberus because I sent a photo.
You did.
Oh, did you?
You did. There is.
Oh, was that you?
There is an entry.
There it is. So over here, we have to register if we are flying something that's over 250 grams. And I think you're the first people to ever see that card.
And long may that be the case. Superb stuff. Excellent bonus tips of the week there, all the way from across the pond. Thank you again, chap. It's been really great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
So that takes us on to the photo contest. Your opportunity to win a broken prop signed by the KWADeRATIC team. Yeah,
and we will post them out.
We will post them out. Lockdown is about to end. There's going to be a sudden flood of postage happening from Winter Blue Towers and from Cerberus Towers. So that was Michael Hazard's entry into what is the thing in your flight bag that you keep in your flight bag but you don't really know why, because you never use it. So here we go. Oh, incidentally, I was on Facebook today, and I had some adverts from Wish.
No.
Why? What? Why? I don't understand. So, Bearman FPV. Bearman FPV. Why have you got pin headers in you? What are you going to rebuild with those, dude? Out in what? Bearman FPV with pin headers. I don't quite understand.
So you're at your bando with your flight controller which has everything directly soldered to it, and you suddenly need pin headers. Yeah.
Finley.
Brilliant.
Finley says he doesn't use his X-Lite very often.
To be fair, nobody uses an X-Lite.
Why are you all ganging up on me and my X-Lite? I love my X-Lite. He's actually done arts and crafts to achieve that, which I'm quite impressed by.
Yeah, me too. I got kudos to Finley for that. That's brilliant.
Actual arts and crafts going on. This is Ruben. Ruben Graham, who's out there in the chat. Hi, Ruben. How you doing?
Hi, Ruben.
This is a
dustbin? A bucket?
I think this is a bag. He doesn't have a backpack type thing. It's a bag that he uses to carry his stuff around. Hold on, I need to check his email. Because he does have an explanation. Oh, Clive sent me something as well. Crikey, it's all going crazy. Here we go. Ruben, I don't have a bag, so I use this box. But mine would be this lithium-ion battery that I made for my R9, but never actually use it, as I always forget to actually use it. I wonder why my T16 keeps dying. Also, that bit of glue in there, I've never used either. some random glue, because yes, we all need random glue in our flight bags.
No sniffing.
Yeah, and you're telling me off. Aggie has got an
A fart
Yeah,
meter.
a wind thing for trumps, so that she can measure the speed of trumps. I don't know why.
Are they orange?
But actually, I think this could actually be a useful thing in your flight bag, Aggie.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the
Aggie,
show.
I need you to bring this to the next event when we're out of lockdown, okay? And we're gonna get people to hover over your your wind meter, right? And the person that can score the most wind over your fart meter wins. How's that for a contest? I think that could be hugely amusing.
Especially watching people try and hover over it.
That was something that we were going to talk about earlier, but we forgot to. This is Arta. Arta carries single broken props, which is a bit weird. This is a bit like carrying the skulls of your enemies or something. What's that about? They're really handy. I want to see you put 4 single-bladed props on a quad and see if
would it fly?
It'd make a bad noise. I think that's what would happen. Clive says, I don't know why you're keeping that. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know that.
Has that got a VTX channel list?
Yeah.
That is actually kind of useful.
Yeah, but the DJI channels aren't on there, so you know.
Yeah, what you need is one of the KWADeRATIC business cards.
You do. Failsafe FPV, who's really looking forward to. Hold on, RC Maniac, hold that up, RC Maniac. KWADeRATIC business cards. Show them to your friends. It's the other side, the other side. Yay! And you know who's responsible for that? It's this man here, because he drew the original.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I just adapted it to fit on the back of a business card, but it came from Michael.
Do you know what? I have a screenshot of the original picture on my phone, and I have many of them because I keep going. I can't find it. I'll just get another one and just stick it on my phone.
Yep, Michael's responsible for that one. I just stole it and reworked it slightly. Okay, so that is all of our entries for.
Whose was that one?
That was
the antenna.
Failsafe, who can't fly anymore because he sent his goggles away.
Yeah.
Well done. Sorry, I know, cruel. It's cruel. Ruben Graham says, "I need one of them business cards, and you shall have one. Come to an event, and we shall give you free stickers and business cards."
Yeah, it happens.
Failsafe with his broken. I've flown far worse antennas than that.
Yeah, me too. That's not that bad.
It's Clive with his TBS Unified Pro Race Settings Quick Start menu that nobody needs ever. It's Arta with those need to be flown. I'm telling you.
Yep.
It's Aggie with her portable fart meter.
Wind meter.
It's Hazard with his FAA credentials. It's Ruben with his battery that looks like it might not blow up or anything, but he always forgets to actually plug it in. It's Finley with his Finley doing.
Just go back to Finley's for a second, because I really like the fact that his battery caps on his X-Lite are a different shade of red. I don't know whether you spotted that, but the actual battery caps at the end, they are a different shade of red.
There is.
Like, the attention to detail is brilliant.
That is. Yeah.
What do you think, chat? Who do you think is the winner this week? Let's see what you guys think.
Over to you, chat. Who are you voting for in the fortnightly photo contest? Which this fortnight was the crap you've got in your flight bag that you keep in there, but for some reason you never use. I'm voting Finley.
I'm voting Finley as well, personally.
There's a lot.
And I wanted to give a special shout out to Clive, who sent in a second entry, but after the deadline, he sent a picture of a Team Black Sheep pen, which I think is epic. But actually, that has actual use in the real world. So.
Oh yeah, here we go. It was late, so it wasn't in with the others. Yeah, an actual TBS pen.
Finley says that it took him a solid 5 minutes to create his X-Lite.
Martin RC says, Michael, we hate the new regs. Everybody hates their regs. Finley says the FAA card. Yeah. We should all be unregulated. We should just be able to... No, we shouldn't. Probably shouldn't.
No, regulation is important, but it's got to be sane and rational.
It has to be proportional.
That's the word I was looking for.
Right, any more votes out in chat? Any more votes?
Or any votes at all?
Well, the FAA card's got a vote, but I think we're going for Finley, aren't we? Because arts and crafts. Finley, this is winging its way to you, along with some Killer Quad stickers, some Winter Blue stickers, and some RC Maniac stickers. Because we've got the full set now, and we might even throw in some Killer Quads business cards. What do you think? So that you can hand out to your friends. Right, I think we've limped to the end.
We've missed something.
Have we? Oh,
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. What is the competition for the next one?
The competition for the next fortnight. The photo of the fortnight. Well, what was the crap in your bag was very good. I enjoyed that. But it's time to get your bags out and go flying. Boris says you can fly. You can meet with one other person, and that person can be a spotter. I believe you can touch this guy. No, that's not it, is it? Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, it is.
It's the vaccine. It's affected me in strange ways. Very strange ways. Martin, as he says,
the vote was rigged.
I think we should send some stickers over to Michael anyway, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. We'll make that happen.
Absolutely. Right, yes. So, since you can go out and fly, next show, I want to see photos of the venue that you chose to break your fast and go flying. So find a photo, a superb image from your goggles, from your phone, from whatever. Find me an image of the location that you chose to be the epic location that you went out and started flying at again after this crazy lockdown that the virus has brought to us. And here's fingers crossed that all these vaccines work and we can start getting out. Squeaky FPV says, "Can I take my nan? She's in an urn." What?
I don't think she'll be able to spot for you.
You put the.
She might like the fresh air.
Have you got a spare pair of goggles that will fit the urn? Don't strap her to the quad. No, hush. Don't be saying.
BlueVelvet in the background heckling, always brilliant.
Oh, guys, I think that is KWADeRATIC for this fortnight. Chat, I'd like to say a big thank you to you guys for joining us. It's been a really epic show. I also have to thank, let's go back over to him because he's still there. Michael, thank you very much for joining us, chap.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you have tip of the week, but you won't call it pick of the week. It's pick of the fortnight. You don't ever change.
No. It's just we're stuck with it now. I've done the graphics. I'm not doing them again. Great stuff. Thank you very much for coming on, chap. It's been great to talk to you.
You as well.
And RC Maniac with his tip of the week. Yes, it should be tip of the fortnight. Thank you for coming on, dude. We will see you again in a fortnight. Yeah.
Yep. Hopefully, I can think of something.
Good stuff. So that's it. That's us. We're done, ladies and gentlemen.
We're spent.
That was a really good fun show. Thank you everybody for coming in. Ruben's trying to vinyl his DJI front plate. What colour? Pink is the only colour. Pink.
Hot pink. It's got to be hot pink.
Superb.
All the best things are hot pink.
Yeah, absolutely. Hot pink is the only colour that is acceptable. So everybody out there in chat, thank you very much for coming. It's been great to see you. Thanks again to our guest, Michael Hazard, for coming on the show. Thank you to RC Maniac for his tip of the week. Thank you to my partner in crime, without whom we couldn't do this, Winter Blue. Thank you, chap.
No worries. And thank you to Cerberus, the brains behind Killer Quads and the intellectual chaos that comes with that. I don't know where I was going with that.
Kind of, it stormed out of the gates and then just died halfway. Oh well, but it was good.
Yeah, should just put it out of his misery.
Good stuff. Thank you, dude. Take care. I will talk to you soon. And everybody out there in the internet world watching us either live or watching again, thank you very much for tuning in. Please, would you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down, tell us why in the comments why it was a thumbs down. Click the notification bell, because apparently that tells you when we're doing this crazy stuff. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with another edition of KWADeRATIC, the best FPV magazine show on the interballs by far. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host, Cerberus, along with my co-host, Winter Blue, who's heckling me in the background. Something's coming in April, but I can't tell you what. But I'll see you in a fortnight. Thanks, guys. Good night.